This episode is brought to you by Resy and American Express. Resy is a digital platform that connects restaurants to restaurant lovers by elevating dining experiences, providing original industry content, and helping to fill some of the country's most exciting dining rooms. Because restaurants have always been more than just places to eat. The amazing world of restaurants is just a few taps away in the Resy app and at resy.com.
When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
If I'm going to spill something, which I do in my kitchen.
Yeah, we all do.
A $35 or $40 book recovers a lot better than my phone does, or an iPad.
It's very true, Matt.
And so it's resilient, it's forgiving, and then there's evidence that, yeah, I made that, because look, the pages are wrinkled.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. What better way to talk about the year in cookbook publishing than speaking directly with the source, the booksellers? Today on the show, I am joined by Matt Sartwell of New York's Kitchen Arts and Letters and Ken Concepcion of Now Serving in Los Angeles. Matt and Ken share what is selling in their stores and give some of their personal favorite titles from this busy year. I hope you enjoy these conversations. Matt Sartwell, welcome back to This Is Taste. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a great time of year to be talking about cookbooks.
Wonderful time of year. This show really has a deep interest in cookbooks. It's not all we do, but obviously we record here at Penguin Random House. So we certainly love talking with booksellers, and you run, honestly, one of the country's best.
Well, thank you. We have a lot of fun at Kitchen Arts and Letters, and we love serving people who really care deeply about cookbooks.
Yeah, and to be clear, while we publish here at Penguin Random House, we always, from day one, have covered the world of cookbooks. We have our favorites here. We have our favorites outside of Penguin Random House, and we'll talk about the world of cookbooks. Before we get to our chat about the year, breaking news. This morning, the New York Times released their terrific best cookbooks of the year list. We don't need to litigate the picks. It's a great piece by Adina Steinman. I do want to talk about the first line because I love Adina for writing this. It's so true. Do cookbooks still matter? 1,000 times yes. Now more than ever. Could not be more true. What do you think about that line?
I absolutely agree with it. And I like how emphatic it is.
It is.
I've been hearing in, 34 years of being a bookseller, people coming in and they were saying this. When I started, nobody needs cookbooks anymore. And in those days, it was because there were magazines rather than the internet. Cookbooks are just a completely different place than any other form of media. And I think there are amazing people doing wonderful things on all kinds of forms, if it's on YouTube or if it's on TikTok or, people who are blogging. There's a huge amount of creativity out there. And I think the overall landscape of food and cooking is only improved by the more forms that there are. But books are almost always they have the potential to be the deepest dives. It's not like there isn't a lot of cookbook fluff published every year, but if you want the thing that's really going to immerse you in something, a book is there for you.
Agree fully. And I'll just add, at the price point, $35, $40, what an affordable luxury, what a value to get, an author's life's work or even multiple years of work. And also just, it's not digital. We have to recognize that in this world where digital is really taking over every aspect, to have a book on your nightstand, in your kitchen, in your den, and be able to read an author's introduction, read even the pantry section can be interesting. And of course, the recipes. There's nothing like it in media, the physical cookbook.
And for the sheer pleasure of use, I would always rather have a book open on the counter than to have my phone there and to be swiping up and down and trying to get back to that place where, even though I can't see the ingredient list at the same time I see the instruction. I mean, digital has a lot of immediate utility, but in terms of that, if I'm going to relax into making something that's new to me, something that's ambitious, the format of a book is so much friendlier to my experience as a cook. And I think that's why cookbooks, literal books, have had so much life in an era when a lot of other forms of book publishing have been diminished by digital media.
And also just digital media is going away in many ways too, like being taken over by non-journalistic endeavors. And I'll also say, the blog era and, the recipe SEO era where literally what's for dinner, I'm going to put it into Google. The ad tech has been so bad. You're trying to scroll through a recipe and you're getting pop-ups, your windows are crashing. I think this has really been that was the genesis of the just show me the recipe era, which I fought. People said that and I always snap back at them because those people were full of shit. But I honestly think they were responding not to long narrative, but they were responding to ad tech.
I think that's a big point. You don't want to be interfered with when you're in the midst of a process.
Yeah.
And I think there are places, we could talk about this later if you want, where I think some publishers are falling down on recognizing the experience of using a book. Generally speaking, you know what you've got with a book. And also, if I'm going to spill something, which I do in my kitchen.
Yeah, we all do.
A $35 or $40 book recovers a lot better than my phone does or an iPad.
It's very true, Matt.
And it's resilient, it's forgiving, and then there's evidence that, I made that. Because look, the page is wrinkled. It's an artifact, and I think in a lot of the best possible ways.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about Kitchen Arts and Letters. Tell us a little bit about the store for those who don't know, and a little bit about how you think about curation, new titles, backlist, antiquarian, and lastly, a little bit about who your customers are on the Upper East Side.
All right. Well, we've been around since 1983, so we're 42 years old this year. We're in the same building we started in, although we moved into a bigger space about 40 years ago. And we bring in books from all over the world. That's almost always been a part of our mission, is to find things that were outside what was commonly available. Because, after all, you have a lot of resources to find cookbooks. So we're going to work hard to show you things that you haven't seen. And some of our best-selling books this year are books that are not generally available in other bookstores or available on giant websites. We want that experience of discovery when people walk in the door and they're like, holy cow, I didn't know there was a book about that. And whether it's a tiny little pamphlet on eating tripe in Florence or a big giant book on the food of Laos, we like to do that. We do place a big emphasis on keeping what we consider the sort of the strength of the cookbook publishing tradition available to people. So if you come in and you want a book that's published 30, 40 years ago, and if it's still in print, it's really likely we're going to have it. And if it isn't in print, maybe we've got a good secondhand copy for you. Maybe we know exactly how to find one for you. And we're convinced that despite changes in all the media, that there are books that were, written in the 1980s or the 1970s that still have a huge amount to say to people about the way that they cook. And maybe they don't have lots of photographs, for instance, which is something that for some people is a deal breaker. But we can talk to you about, this book maybe isn't the shiny, glossy thing that you were expecting, but take 2 minutes with it and you're going to see that it's really addressing the subject you want to ask about in a really deep and inspiring way.
And there are definitely some cookbook buyers who love illustrated cookbooks and with no photos and have that with that old tradition. Who are your customers? Who's seeking out these books in your shop?
Well, we see a really wide range of people. So we have a lot of business with people who are in the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
Restaurant cooks, caterers, food journalists, food historians even, people who are not home cookbooks, and we carry a lot of things that are targeted to those people, which one reason why we do a lot of importing. We have gloriously illustrated, glossy, highly expensive books that we bring in from Europe or from Asia that demonstrate the work of high-level chefs. And the big audience for those is people who make their living preparing food for other people. They want inspiration. They want to see what's happening sort of at the top of the game in other places. But I would say, 80% of our conversations about choosing a book are with people who are doing it for their home kitchen. Mm-hmm. They come in, they want advice. They're curious about a type of cooking they haven't done before. They want to help narrow the field. Sometimes there isn't a book exactly like what they want. So we have to talk to them and learn from them about what their experience level is, why they're interested. Did they go to this place and have a great time? Did they meet somebody who told them about this amazing food in a particular part of the world? Sometimes they're addressing a necessary change in their diet because of a physician's recommendation. Yeah. All of those things bring people to us, and so we talk about them. We're seeing people who either can't find what they need in a local bookstore, whether it's a chain or an indie, or we're seeing people who go online and just suffer information overload.
Yeah. And you walk and just shop, and you're there, one of your great employees is there, and you can really walk you through the process. I mean, do you see the power of the New York Times in action? I mean, I think about like Eric Kim writing a column in New York Times Magazine about, Bavarian baking. And do people like flood your store after something hits in the Times?
It's less than it used to be, honestly.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think I'm making a guess here that that when people are encountering that kind of media digitally, they're making the choice to look for it digitally.
Got it.
So they're going to the big online retailers, and we don't know in advance what Eric's going to write about or what anybody else is going to write about. So we don't have that, and we're still in the process of getting all our inventory online. Newer things are online. A lot of the older things aren't, just because we really try to provide copy that we've written ourselves. Publishers, God love them, they sometimes don't write really helpful copy.
Yeah.
And because it's like, the only book you'll ever need on making soup, whether you've been making soup for 500 years.
It's all emphatic, right? It's a sales technique.
Sort of.
Okay.
I mean, it is, I think, a kind of thoughtless one because it promises everything to everyone.
Okay.
And that's not usually what people are looking for when they're shopping. They're looking for specificity. So is this is this like all the soups are made with 5 ingredients, they're ready in 10 minutes? Or is this like, I hate to say immerse yourself in soup, but is this the kind of thing where you're going to develop a gentle craft and you're going to start with making the stock and you're going to, you're going to prepare all those things? Because those are just two entirely different experiences.
Yeah.
And when publisher copy is absolutely convinced that this is the book to end all books, then it doesn't really help people. So we spend time with books, getting to know them, generally speaking, before we put them on our website, so that we can say, hey, this is going to surprise you because it's got what seem like to be classics at the start, but everything has a little bit of a surprise or a twist in it. Or, if you're tired of having to reinvent the wheel every time, here are 50 classic soups that will reassure you, and they're going to be comforting because you know what they should be, and they're going to do that.
And you can write about the specialness of a book because of your experience for over 30 years in selling books. And I think it comes out really clearly in your newsletter. And I'm going to plug it many times because you need to subscribe to the Kitchen Arts and Letters newsletter. It is so well written by yourself and your team. I love reading it. I think it's some of the books are one of ones, and you're just going to learn about a book. I will never buy that book, but I'm still going to learn about it. So please, I'm going to link to in the show notes to subscribe.
Well, thank you. No, we have a lot of fun with that newsletter and choosing the books that we're going to feature. My colleague Laura Jackson writes almost all the material for
Shout out to Laura.
Older out-of-print books. She devotes a lot of time and effort to tracking down unusual things and finding out what she can about the authors. Yeah, and we hear back a lot of feedback from people who read those newsletters who never, ever buy any of those books. And since there may be 10 books listed and we may have one copy of each of them, we know that that's going to be the case. But we are trying to use those books to open a window on a particular time or place, or somebody who was a really interesting cook who, has just sort of fallen below the horizon and still has something interesting to say.
Today's episode is brought to you by ButcherBox. As a food writer, I can be a little skeptical about subscription cooking boxes you hear all about on podcasts. There's big talk about cooking simplicity, but you're usually left with disappointment after smashing that promo code. ButcherBox is a true exception. I was sent a box of premium beef and pork and was blown away by the quality and variety. There was 100% grass-fed pasture-raised ribeye, tri-tip, and ground sirloin for my favorite at-home smash burger recipe. George Moats, you better watch your back. For pork, they sent me a beautiful center-cut pork loin for slow roasting. I was super impressed, and I haven't even talked about the ribs, which I cooked in my Instant Pot. There was a rub of salt, white pepper, and togarashi, and I pressure-cooked with water and apple cider vinegar. It was incredible. These ButcherBox ribs are amazing. For nearly a decade, ButcherBox has led the industry with meat and seafood that's antibiotic-free. As an exclusive offer, our listeners can get free protein in every box for a year, plus $20 off your first box when you go to butcherbox.com/taste. Visit butcherbox.com/taste to get this limited time offer and free shipping always. That's butcherbox.com/taste. Don't forget to use our link so they know we sent you. Today's episode is brought to you by Our Place. Are you still using that set of pots and pans from college? You know, the non-stick saute pan with the coating rubbing off? Hear me out. It might be time for an upgrade. I recently went on a search for the perfect saute pan and landed on the Our Place website. I liked how their cookware looked. It was minimal, though functional, with a color palette that matched my own aesthetic. And I really liked that they make better kitchen products that are simply better for you. Our Place makes high-performance, toxin-free cookware. It's that simple. Their products are made without forever chemicals like PFAS and PTFEs. I had to Google that, and man, that stuff is nasty. So you can cook confidently without wondering what's in your pan. Stop cooking with toxic cookware and upgrade to Our Place today. Visit FromOurPlace.com/taste and use code TASTE for 10% off site-wide. With a 100-day risk-free trial, free shipping and returns, you can experience this game-changing cookware with zero risk. That's FromOurPlace.com/taste and use code TASTE for 10% off site-wide. If you're like me, your skin needs some extra care this time of year. All that cooking for family and friends has me busy dipping into my favorite cookbooks.
And Matt, I've been spending so much time in the kitchen trying to perfect my roast chicken. How hot it is all the time, it's doing a number on my skin.
Yeah, man, I've been working through a bunch of these new cookbooks, including David Leibowitz's re-release of Ready for Dessert. Now, I've been eyeing his nectarine raspberry upside-down gingerbread cake, and I made a couple batches of his buckwheat chocolate chip cookies. Honestly, the cookies turned out great, but in the end, all that time with the flour and the dough, my skin is a wreck. That's why I've continued to rely on OneSkin. I love their OS1 body formula, and it's been invaluable to have a daily routine that delivers both powerful skincare and longevity benefits, all in just a few simple steps. OneSkin also just launched their limited edition holiday sets, including the Nightly Rewind gift set, which is one of those rare gifts that's both impressive and genuinely useful, providing an upgrade to anyone's nightly routine. Featuring their best-selling face moisturizer and their new peptide lip mask, each component of the set is designed to work together as your body enters its natural nightly repair mode, helping renew skin at the cellular level for a stronger, smoother, and more resilient skin. For a limited time, try OneSkin for 15% off using promo code TASTEPOD at oneskin.co. That's promo code TASTEPOD at oneskin.co. I want to transition and just talk about titles. I want to break it into two parts. The first part, I'd like to hear about what are your best sellers this year? What are the books that your folks are coming in and requesting and you're selling a lot? And then we'll get into some more of your own personal picks.
Well, it's interesting. Our two best-selling books this year were totally unexpected. The first is actually a fundraiser for a soup kitchen in the East Village, and it's called the East Village Cookbook, and it supports Trinity Lutheran Church's soup kitchen that located right off Tompkins Square Park here in New York. And it is an amazing book. It has...
I bought it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it has contributions from people who have lived in that neighborhood for 60 years. It has contributions from high-profile restaurants. It has contributions from, well-known authors who live there. Deb Perlman from Smitten Kitchen has a recipe in there. It has little quirky neighborhood restaurants like Cafe Mogador. It has this funky, offbeat East Village design. There are no photographs. And it just feels like a slice of New York in this really amazing tactile way. And Will Horowitz, who spearheaded the project of getting everybody together, has been such an advocate for it. And we've sold close to 500 copies this year, which is a huge number for us. And I think there's a feel-good quality to it, but it's also totally usable book.
I mean, the aesthetics are incredible, too. I love the design. It's spiral bound, and it has that community cookbook feel. Definitely has a little bit of Lucky Peach vibe in there. I think it's a great gift for anyone who wants to kind of experience the East Village in its true food sense.
Yeah, and the graphics, they harken back to like the 70s and the 80s and to establishments that are gone.
That's great.
It has that really strong sense of place. And that was a book that we went out and told people about. Wasn't a national marketing campaign for it, and we told our customers about it, and they really responded to it. And then our second best-selling book is a book that we import from Laos, called The Child of the Rice Fields. It's from a restaurant that was located in Vientiane, the Laotian capital. It's a really traditional Laotian cookbook. The woman who wrote it, who was the chef at the restaurant, and she has unfortunately died since the book came out, grew up in a small town. She went to the capital and said, these people have lost touch with what Lao food is, and opened a really traditional restaurant. And the book is beautifully photographed and really carefully put together. They did a terrific job self-publishing this book. It's $150. So the fact that it has found this giant audience really speaks to just how rewarding it is. For almost everyone in the United States, you are not going to pick this book up and make this food because it relies on ingredients that she would forage from, the local forests and things like that. But it is a really amazing representation of what traditional Lao food is like. That said, and I think in both of those books, what unites them is that people want something with an enormous character. And one book achieves it through this sort of kaleidoscope of different aspects of a community, and the other one achieves it through one person's vision. So both of those approaches can work really well. It's not like there's one path to it. After that, the numbers fall off quite a bit, but almost everything that has worked for us has been the result of somebody who has spent their time developing a reputation. So one of our top 10 books, and I can't remember exactly the order because
we don't need to go orders.
Shifting all the time anyway, but Hetty McKinnon's Linger. So Hetty has spent years writing really carefully and really rewarding books for people. And with this one, which I think everything seems to have gelled with this one, it's a book about salads and desserts, but it's also got so much of her story in it. And all of her previous fans are after it. But people are coming in and they're seeing it and they're flipping it. And I think Hetty has developed a confidence and a clarity about the way she talks and writes and presents herself that it just convinces people. So because we serve people who are just getting started and people who have been cooking for a long time, our list is all over the place. But I almost always feel like if I can put a book in somebody's hand and say, this has character, it's not designed to sort of anticipate what an algorithm will tell people they need 3 months from now or a year from now, whenever somebody was making a book
Which I experienced directly when you placed that terrific book about Tripes in Florence into my hand. I bought it. I gave it as a gift later. Yeah, it's the beauty of cookbooks. Give us a few more of the big sellers.
We've done really well with Katie Parla's book on Rome, even though it's just newly released. Again, a book with really high impact, and Katie's knowledge of her material is so evident everywhere you go. It's not even her first book on Rome.
Yeah.
And some people might have thought that returning to a subject she'd already addressed might have made this one feel thin, but no.
Just the opposite. We had a great conversation with Katie here a few weeks back, and it's truly just the introduction and the history of Rome. I mean, she's a historian.
Yeah.
Beautiful writing.
I haven't been to Rome in a very long time, but it was one of those places that when I was there on a couple of visits, I felt like I could live here. You know, as somebody who'd been living in New York for a while at that point, I felt like this is like the European equivalent of New York in a way.
Yeah.
It had that street energy. And I think she conjures that really, really well. But on the other hand, we are also seeing these books, and you said something earlier about people who've devoted years to understanding something. So Show Space's book on homemade ramen is, I think, such a home run of a book. And the way he burrows in and addresses things that other people have sort of for years thought were off limits, like making the noodles, the alkaline noodles. I mean, and he doesn't just do it once. There are like 6 different recipes in there for variations and things like that. That kind of burrowing in and focusing on something and all aspects of it. So it's the broth and it's the meats and it's the seasonings and, you know, if you're feeding your family after a busy workday, that book is totally overwhelming for you and it's not going to be what you need. But if you want to get serious about doing this thing, it is a model of a book that teaches you about things. And it fully respects the tradition, but he has clearly done so much original work to get there because most people in Japan, they don't make ramen. It's a food from restaurants, which is one reason why a lot of the information has not been commonly available.
And there's been digital guides for years about making ramen and making alkaline-based noodles, but you're never going to get the depth of a book. And I want to zoom out about that topic because let's talk about the home cook, because you tap into something really interesting about, you know, this is not, you know, after work cooking, but just through conversations on the show and through our reporting at Taste, we're seeing this surge in interest from Millennial and Gen Z, people who maybe are just starting to kind of understand food, and they're coming from disciplines like I've talked to like nuclear physicists, I've talked to engineers, I've talked to people who work in sciences, who work in craftsmanship, woodworkers. I've all these conversations who are like obsessed with bread baking or obsessed with the craft of making ramen. And I feel like books that really do the dive that show has shown, there's a wide market for these types of people.
Yeah, I think it's true. I mean, over a long period of time, and I think at Kitchen Arts and Letters we saw this first with professionals, but there has been a curiosity, if not at least a turning away from, curiosity about alternatives to things that other people do for you.
Yes.
So, you know, whether it was a restaurant thinking, oh, well, we'll make our own ketchup. Or, you know, something as simple as
Never
that.
a good choice, just for the record. Never a good choice. Gotta go with Heinz. Sorry.
Right. My thinking about my grandmothers who fed families daily, you know, year after year, they didn't have the freedom to explore that because they were under a constant demand to do things, and they had to do it inexpensively. You know, my parents were both born during the Depression, so their parents were not exactly rolling in money. And now one of the things that's happened is that more people have the freedom to explore cooking as a craft and to think about it in a way that various forms of artisanship have have taken place in, whether it's in pottery or woodworking or knife making, are the kinds of things. And so that awakens a desire to seek perspectives that haven't really been well represented in a lot of cases in previous books. Not because people didn't care, but there was an assumption, and I think a pretty realistic assumption, that people couldn't devote that kind of energy and effort to it.
Food.
To food.
Right.
Because there was, I don't mean to be trivial about it, but in some way, it's like, how much effort do you put into your laundry?
It's a great example.
Not an everyday task, but it is a task that has to be addressed all the time. And yes, actually, you can go out and find people who really think seriously about laundry. I'm not one of them. I'm happy to have somebody else take care of that for me.
True New Yorker right there.
Yeah.
Into it.
There's a nice lady in the lobby of my building who runs a little dry cleaner, and I'm going to take my laundry there and my shirts there, and she'll take care of them for me, and I trust her. But when it comes to food, people are digging deeper and trying to gain greater understanding. And sourdough is a great example. I think there are probably a lot of other areas that maybe we've not come to terms with yet.
I just think tortilla making, I think as an adjacent to sourdough, there's been incredible books recently. And
Masa book, yeah.
Yeah, that Masa book.
Jorge's book, yeah.
Jorge's book, yeah.
There's a lot of room out there in the world for publishing to go that way. I know a couple of people who are working on projects of depth that have been getting pushback from publishers. I hope that publishers who might be listening to this will think again about whether there isn't room for some of those more intricate explorations of these things. I certainly don't know everything out there that could be explored. But it's amazing to find people like Sho who go out there and they do it and they spend the years. And so I find a book like that incredibly encouraging in terms of a market that is also at the same time struggling against books that are clearly just designed to capture that flash of the moment when one person has a spike in social media activity and boom, here's their book, and it's interchangeable.
I mean, my take is there's room for both. And I think, like, just looking at Crown, where I work, I think the editors at 10 Speed and Potter are thinking about both audiences, and obviously there's an economic concern with acquisition, and I think like giving a large creator an opportunity to make the best book possible and make it really just a stunning work. And we see so many examples this year of creators coming out with debut books that just the book making is superb, but also thinking about exactly what you said: craftsmanship, time. Maybe not a social platform, but just a real domain expertise. And I think the best editors, many are listening, do both.
Yeah, I mean, and we see it, we could not have a bookstore that was only books about, week-long projects to make dinner.
Right.
Our customers would starve to death, and we wouldn't be open. So we have to have those books that are like, please, I have 3 kids, and my spouse is, in med school or, working 9 hours overtime every day, and I have to feed the family. And the practical nature of that requires that you have a book that's really friendly to, here's a dinner that you can get together in 10 minutes. It's going to use fresh ingredients, and people are going to feel like, we actually ate real food, and this is better than takeout.
Yeah.
And so I'm not indifferent to that. I come home from work 3 nights a week and make dinner. And I don't always feel like, I need another 2-hour project at the end of the day. So the world requires all those things. In the same way that, if we were running a literary bookstore, we could not only have, Pulitzer Prize or Nobel Prize winning writers in there. You have to give people a range of choices. And I just always kick back when I feel like the tide is so strongly moving in a single direction.
Yes.
And because I think that sometimes means that a great opportunity gets lost. But
yeah, I think the best editors do both. Okay, let's talk about the Matt Sartwell picks, because I want to get your editorial eye and maybe books that you want to champion on our show. And again, we're linking to the Kitchen Arts and Letters website. It's very just great search. You can always email or call the store too to have it shipped to your house. So definitely pick up a book there. But what are some of the books that you want to highlight?
Well, I mean, like I said, the show Space book has been terrific. I really love Dory Greenspan's new Anytime Cakes. It's so accessible and friendly. I mean, and it sort of occupies that space between her enormous expertise as a baker and the idea that you might want to just have a cake and be eating it in an hour or less than that.
Yeah.
Or you want something that you can share with somebody. She has profound technical skill.
Oh, it's so true.
That marries really nicely with a sense of like, gosh, what would happen if, now that I know how to make this work, what would happen if I tried something a little out of the ordinary? So I think it sits in a really unusual position. And if you're a first-time baker, you can count on it. And if you're an experienced baker who just sort of feels like you're in a rut, it's gonna help you get out of that
Great
rut.
storytelling, too. I think she's got stories for days.
Yes.
And Dory shows in that book, in particular, her long history with baking around the world.
And so many important bakers she's worked with, they come to her, she's gone to them. She connects so many threads. And so I would feel really happy, stranded in a cabin in the woods for a couple of months with baking supplies in that book.
Maybe some alternative flours as well. At your store, you can get some rye flours too, shipped in.
But I mean,
I love the point though. I love the point.
It's I think it's so accessible. So I just published my top 10 list of books from 2025.
Oh man, great.
It took me a long time to settle on what I felt strongest about, but including some of the things that I've already mentioned today. I really like Nicole Rucker's Fat and Flour. I think the great point about that book is you have another really experienced baker who's playing around with technique, and she just does enough things out of the ordinary to make that book stand out. And I have a feeling that 10, 15 years from now, you're going to be seeing people saying, I learned this from Nicole Rucker.
And Nicole's book, she's written other books, but this is like really some of her life's work as a pie baker and a cake baker.
And if you know her work from, because you're in Los Angeles or on the West Coast, these are the things that people go to her over and over.
Great conversation with Nicole in the spring about that we had on the show.
Cool. Caroline Eden did a book called Green Mountains, which is a walk through the Caucasus. This is the third book in a series that included Black Sea and Red Sands.
Yeah.
She's paid a lot of attention to that sort of the farthest reaches of Eastern Europe and then into Central Asia. She is a beautiful, extraordinary writer. She's a trained art historian. She has a visual acuity and observational skill that comes through in her prose, and she gives you such an amazing sense of place. And her stories, the people that she learns to cook from, are really so impressive is the only word I can come up with, because she meets these people and suddenly they're taking her into their homes and feeding her. And it's a kind of fantasy fulfillment in a way.
I think I'd also want to plug her memoir. Because
Cold Kitchen.
I love Cold Kitchen. I mean, I think Green Mountain is great too, but I like Black Sea the best out of the three. I love her memoir. It's truly, I had her on earlier in the year, and I think that her ability to kind of be a true journalist and kind of weave into these cultures and really show culture through, she clearly has great language skills to kind of capture these stories. So.
And I think the amazing thing about Cold Kitchen is that it shows you what, in a lot of cases, she's not on a mountainside in Central Asia. She's back home in Edinburgh.
In Edinburgh, yeah.
And so she's bringing those insights home and applying them. We are importing a book called The Irish Kitchen, It is a successor to a book called The Irish Bakery by Cherie Dunham, with photography by Andrew Montgomery. And it is gorgeous and amazing, and it is both respectful of tradition and gives you a real sense about how home cooking in Ireland has changed. It gives you a sense of what modern Irish cooking is.
So important to note that it's modern and it's not how Americans view Irish cooking.
There are some real limitations on many American-produced Irish books. There have been some good ones. I'm not like slamming Coleman Andrews, who did an amazing book about 15 years ago. But this is a really great contemporary snapshot. It's beautifully photographed for people who like beautiful photography. There are some lovely essays as well by Kitty Corrigan in there talking about different cooks that they've learned from. It's transportive. And I say that having never been to Ireland, but
oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I'd love to go.
Gotta get there. Do you have stock right now?
We do.
Available? Oh, great. I'm smashing that buy right when we get off. I have somebody in mind for
and
that.
It comes in actually, we even have a box set with the original bakery book. So that's the kind of thing where some of our customers heard about it from the UK, and they were like, "Get us this book, get us this book."
Yeah.
And we got it, and it's been a lot of fun working with them. They're really such careful, thoughtful people. I've also really gotten to love 6 Seasons of Pasta, the Joshua McFadden book. I think that book represents a lot of ingenuity that is also very, very accessible. It is not, in most cases, that come home from work and have dinner on the table kind of book, but it is that it's the weekend, and I would like to eat something that I really look forward to eating kind of book.
Yeah.
And it's a book you relax into. It has, his perspective on the seasons and what's good when and how to make it work is a continuation of his 2 earlier books, but you don't have to have those to make a lot of great food with this book. He worked with Martha Holmberg, who I have a lot of respect for. Yeah. Martha has, and Joshua gives her a lot of credit too in our conversations. I just feel like, boom, even if you feel like you have, like pasta is that thing that you go to because you don't know what else to make, this changes that up and it refreshes the whole pasta game.
I love that book. We had a great conversation with Joshua earlier in the year, and the ingenuity is correct. It's very, very smart from a chef with 25 years of experience, and I think it rethinks a category that is very flooded with books. Lots of pasta books.
Yes. Yeah, and a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
But this one doesn't require fresh pasta.
Exactly.
You could use fresh pasta if you wanted for a lot of those things, but I mean, it is very friendly in that space. We've also had a lot of success with a book that I really like by a Scottish author named Jess Elliott Denham, who has published her second book called Weekend Recipes. She did a book last year called Midweek Recipes. This is something else we're importing. We buy them directly from her. Midweek is, another word for weeknight, and her first book was a big hit for us. Weekend, again, is that, I've got a little more time.
Yeah.
And it is a book for people who like to cook. And sometimes you can be that harried person who has to get a dinner on the table on a weeknight, but you still like to cook. And then the time comes and you don't want to be like, okay, I got to get this done in 15 minutes or half an hour or whatever the time may be. And this is a book that that lets you do that. And is it wildly distinctively Scottish? There are definitely Scottish elements to it, but it shows you what, contemporary UK cooking is like in a lot of ways. Yeah. It's a simply designed book. She self-published it. It's not a fancy design.
I love that you're including a self-published book here.
Yeah, I
love it
so much. Well, like Katie, Parler's book, self-publishing is the way to go for a lot of people who might be willing to try something that they want to be in total control of, whether it's design, whether it's content. We pay a lot of attention to self-published books. And I get all kinds of inquiries, like maybe you don't carry self-published books. So I think that means that there are bookstores who don't bother judging by the number of people who ask me that question.
If you're a self-published author, you should probably reach out to Kitchen Arts.
Please, email me. You can literally email Matt at kitchenartsandletters.com if you've self-published. We can't take everything.
Of course not.
We have to be selective. We look for things that we think do something really unusual and that have been carefully formulated and put together. But I have no prejudices against self-published books. And they're a big part of what makes a store like ours exciting because you walk in and find something you didn't know existed.
I think you have a few more picks.
Those are actually the top of my list because so many of the other things were you'd already spotted and had on your show. Your taste is to be commended for that.
Oh, thanks, man.
I had a sort of short list of things that almost made it.
Okay.
So I would call out attention on Jeremy Fox on meat. This is definitely project cooking if you're not a professional cook, but it is technically quite accomplished. This is a restaurant chef doing ambitious restaurant things. But it is original and fresh. I really liked what Michael Twitty did with his recipes for the American South.
Recipes are really great.
His research is so strong, and his head notes are really informative. And he'll tell you, he settled on one version, and he knows there are others, and he'll give you a description of what those others might include. He's not trying to be definitive. He's trying to give you a sense of the landscape, knowing that you can't see around every tree and there are going to be variations.
There's no more ambitious project this season than a book about the American South. We had Michael on and he had a great conversation with Liza, and just major props to Michael for just taking that title.
It is
just incredible work.
It is a huge subject and one that people feel very passionately about.
Of course.
And even, trying to put the whole South into a single book inevitably means that you're going to not do full service to a lot of regional variations, but he is always acknowledging it. Yeah. And I think that's very smart.
Today's episode is brought to you by Our Place. Now, Clayton, let me ask you, what's your pots and pans setup looking like?
Well, I have a few cool pieces that you could call vintage if you're being very, very nice. But honestly, I do think I need an upgrade.
Yeah, man, I was kind of in a similar place myself, and I recently went on a search for the perfect sauté pan. I read all the Wirecutter and Reddit pages and landed on the Our Place website. I liked how their cookware looked. It was minimal, though functional, with a color palette that matched my own aesthetic. And I really liked that they make better kitchen products that are simply better for you. Our Place makes high-performance, toxin-free cookware. It's that simple. Their products are made without forever chemicals like PFAS and PTFEs. I had to Google that, and man, that stuff is nasty. So you can cook confidently without wondering what's in your pan. Stop cooking with toxic cookware and upgrade to Our Place today. Visit FromOurPlace.com/taste and use code TASTE for 10% off site-wide. With a 100-day risk-free trial, free shipping and returns, you can experience this game-changing cookware with zero risk. That's FromOurPlace.com/taste and use code TASTE for 10% off site-wide. This episode is brought to you by Aura Frames. If you're one of those last-minute shoppers, you might know the feeling. Ideas are running low and the clock is ticking. Aura Frames is the solution with a gift that feels personal and can be purchased in no time. Aura Frames are great. They sent me one to check out and it was really cool and dumb simple to set up. I loaded photos using the app and it was displaying them instantly. There are no limits to the amount of photos you can load and you can customize messages with each photo. And here's the deal. You can preload an Aura frame with photos and have it directly sent to that special person in your life, gift wrapped and all. There will be no price tag, and you can include a personalized message. Think about it. All those photos from this past summer's family reunion delivered in a digital frame. That is pretty cool. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter by using promo code TASTE at checkout. That's AURAFrames.com, promo code TASTE. The deal is exclusive to listeners and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. This episode is brought to you by OneSkin. If you're like me, your skin needs some extra care this time of year. All that cooking for family and friends has me busy dipping into my favorite cookbooks, like Von Rieland's latest about cookies. I'm really loving what this guy does with coffee in his cookies. Coffee, it seems, is the secret to winning a holiday cookie competition. This busy season also has my skin in a pretty interesting place. Baking 3 dozen Linzers will do that. That's why I've continued to rely on OneSkin. I love their OS1 body formula, and it's been invaluable to have a daily routine that delivers both powerful skincare and longevity benefits, all in just a few simple steps. OneSkin also just launched their limited edition holiday sets, including the Nightly Rewind gift set, which is one of those rare gifts that's both impressive and genuinely useful, providing an upgrade to anyone's nightly routine. Featuring their best-selling face moisturizer and their new peptide lip mask, each component of the set is designed to work together as your body enters its natural nightly repair mode, helping renew skin at the cellular level for a stronger, smoother, and more resilient skin. For a limited time, try OneSkin for 15% off using promo code TASTEPOD at oneskin.co. That's promo code TASTEPOD at oneskin.co.
I really loved Diane Kochilas' book on Athens, which I think is another book that says there is this tradition in this place. It's ancient, but it's also changing. And she's doing a great job of giving you a sense about how Greek food in its most cosmopolitan city is adapting influences from throughout the Mediterranean and elsewhere. And I think that's a really unusual take, because almost all of the Greek books that we've been offered over the last 25 years have been just hyper-traditional. And Diane knows enough to sort of say, hey, actually, Athens has those things, but it has more.
Amazing food city. I think you've hit a thread with a couple examples of how just like modernity and covering how cultures cook today in places that maybe have been covered more in the traditional sense.
There never has to be just one book about something. And, I think sometimes when people are looking for like lists of the best or whatever sort of flag you want to run up the pole, the temptation is to find that there's, one book that sort of covers everything. And you need multiple perspectives on things like that, particularly someplace that has as much tradition and dynamism as a place like Athens, or even a place like Rome. There's a funny little book, another self-published book we bring in called Free Food by Andrew Barton, who is self-publisher. He's also got a small press. He runs out of Portland, Oregon. And this is, I may be betraying a lot about my hippie youth, or not quite hippie youth, but I went to college at the University of Oregon in Eugene, and Andrew grew up there about maybe 10 years after I left. And this is that sort of like laid back, cheap as hell, try to be healthy, feed lots of people, have people coming in your house. You want a big pot of something ready to go on the stove or something to pull out of the oven and feed a lot of people. And it's a meditation on a kind of generosity that I think is maybe enjoying an undercurrent, and some other books that are coming up out of mainstream publishing about potlucks and having friends over. But this is hearkening back to a time that was less slick. And it's an interesting little meditative book.
I loved it. I picked it up at that great shop Vivian in Portland, and
that would make all kinds of sense. Yeah.
And I was hand sold that book by the wonderful owner of that store, and I love that book. Glad you call it out. I think it's a really great pick.
And Andrew did a great little book on bread of his own. He self-published, or not self-published, but he published Tom Eagle's book called Psychogastronomy, which is a meditation on sort of being in a particular place and what you're inspired to eat when you're there. And it's short vignettes, really, rather than even essays. Another book that we import, it comes from France, but it's in English, is a book by Jean-François Piège, who is a very popular chef in Paris. This is the recipes from a restaurant he has called La Poule au Pot, It's French bistro food. And it's totally approachable and friendly. And amazingly, the French publisher did the English edition themselves, and they did it before they did it in French.
Wow, cool.
And
Interesting choice.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
But I
Market.
I didn't question it. His team reached out to us and told us that the book had happened.
Yeah.
And so we were like, sure, let's do it. So it's a great look at, again, what you would get if you were like eating out in a really nice bistro in Paris these days.
Yeah.
Not hidebound in tradition, but
Again, modernity from a culture that's been overcovered in many ways, I think is a thread we're hearing here. I want to close and talk a bit about your hopes and dreams for the future. Later in this episode, I talked to Ken from Now Serving about the same topic, but I always love to ask booksellers, what do you want, Matt? What do you want?
You mean, what do I want other people to do?
Yeah, that's where we're in the, I could go upstairs and have a little chit chat with the editorial team. I think but I'm being serious. Like, there are a lot of books published every year. So it sometimes feels like everything is published, but you know best what the market is demanding.
I'm going to say something that maybe isn't exactly what the people upstairs want to hear, which is that
There's been a few things you've said that maybe people upstairs.
But I think sometimes the market needs to be shown the path. So what the market demands is, in a way, sort of an immediate solution to their problems. And there are always going to be things that are like addressing that boom, boom, boom. Here's the drumbeat of everyday life. And I don't think anybody has to be told that that's a need that people have. But I think that there are explorations that can be made, like Show's book on ramen, or the book that we bring in from Laos, that make people say, holy cow, I didn't know that there was so much to say about that. And what I'm always looking for is that holy cow book, something that swings for the fences, to borrow a metaphor from another form of human endeavor, that sort of says, you didn't know that there was so much to say about this, but there really is. I happen to know, for instance, that there's a really amazing book coming on Chinese noodles, which is, I believe, is coming from Crown. It's not till like 2028.
Okay.
I'm amazing to know that that's happening. I'm so excited because...
Me too. I know what you're talking about. Can't really say much more.
I was encouraging the author for several years because he was like, do you think I should try? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. You're really well positioned to do that. So those kinds of things, hot damn, is somebody lying awake at night saying, you know what I really need to solve my problems is a book on Chinese noodles. No. When that book passes in front of them, are there going to be people who are like, oh, Jesus, amazing. There was a book that happened about 2 years ago on Chinese breakfast.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
It's not the most obvious topic, but that kind of exploration really lights people up. And I think being open to those kinds of things is important because it keeps opening up the horizon for everything else. And if we are always addressing the immediate needs, and the immediate needs can be very pressing, there's no doubt about it. Everybody needs, look, I need books that sell because I have rent to pay and I have, employees who like to be able to feed their families. So I understand the need to get that kind of things done. But we also have to look at the things that we've never considered dealing with before, and that don't have a model out there for comparison purposes, when we go to talk to the sales department or when we go to talk to the buyer at some giant company who's like, well, nobody's ever bought a book on that. Well, maybe that means that lots of people will want to buy that book. So that kind of thinking means that, we can look at books on foods from different parts of the world. We can look at like funny specializations. We had a really delightful book this year that wasn't a cookbook. It was a book of 19th century Japanese illustrations of fish. And it has tiny little notes on on the eating qualities of many of them. Some of them aren't even food fish, but people loved it.
It's a beautiful book.
It's
gorgeous,
and
man.
it just
I love that book.
Does what it does,
Yeah.
and fishes of Ado, and
Yep.
holy cow, people really responded to that. So I think people like surprise.
Matt, I love that final sentiment. I think it gives a lot of inspiration for our listeners, folks working in editorial, folks who maybe are thinking about writing a cookbook. That wow element, we really need to bottle that when we're at our desk writing our proposals and thinking about the world of cooking. Thank you so much for joining This Is Taste.
Delighted to be here. Thank you again.
Ken Concepcion, welcome to This Is Taste. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. Great to be back. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Oh, I love Now Serving, and it's your wonderful bookstore in Los Angeles. And we will talk all about some of the books that you've been excited about this year, some books that will be on your table, on your shelves. And again, our listenership knows the name, I'm sure, but tell us where you're at and really a little bit about Now Serving's history.
So we are in Chinatown, just outside of downtown here in Los Angeles. We're specifically in the Far East Plaza, and we've been here for 8 years. Yeah, crazy.
It's amazing. I think I found you guys early on, and I loved you were doing a lot of interviews on Zoom, and now you do so many terrific author events in store. But before we get to the season, Ken, where have you been dining out as of late?
Well, as you said, it is the peak of fall cookbook season right now before we go into the holidays. So, um, I'm not getting out as much as I should, but when I do, I'm trying to grab a slice at the new Bub and Grandma's Pizza, which is fantastic. There's a bar that has been open for a couple months, and it's called Bar 108.
Yeah.
And Brian, who is the owner, he comes from a fine dining background, and he's about to open Corridor 108, which is like a tasting menu restaurant in Melrose Hill. But Bar 108 on Tuesdays after 10 p.m. they do this burger looks insane, and I'm a little bit I feel like I'm suffering a little bit of burger fatigue, but Brian's burger looks so good.
Yeah, Bar 108 has been on my mind, and I've gotten some messages about it, and I'm excited to visit. And I mean, this discourse about the smash burger has been exhausting. I don't know if you've been following it at all.
Yeah, no, it is exhausting, and it is. But I think I think I think hopefully we're at the tipping point. I'm in the camp of while I do love a good smash burger, I am definitely in the camp of a bistro burger and a pub burger, a backyard burger that's about 8 to 10 ounces. So yeah, I like it juicy.
Yeah, I like it juicy too. I mean, but a great smash burger is what it is. It's fucking great. So if you prepare it well and you have all the ingredients dialed and you're using Kraft singles, because that's the only cheese of choice, in my opinion. I feel like we're good. We're good with the smash burger in my camp.
I'm fine with everything that's out there, and LA has some great burger spots. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's talk about the season. I just want to ask you first, just like reflecting on this big year. What have been some bestsellers at Now Serving?
Yeah, it's been a huge year. Just going off the dome, I think, Samin's Good Things. It's great to have her back in just in the conversation and back in the store and conversation of cookbooks. That's been a top seller. Haley Catalano's By Heart was a huge hit for us and continues to sell. And then local hero Nicole Rucker's Fat and Flour. It's such a great book, and it's kind of that perfect title where it speaks to professionals, it speaks to home bakers, it speaks to people who are just starting out and just want to make some cookies. Nicole's done a great thing. Allison Roman's latest, which I saw just hit the BSL.
Yep.
not a surprise, of course.
Yeah.
Something from nothing that we can't keep enough in stock. So
I love to hear
um,
that. All those books are
yeah.
terrific. All have been on the show, and I love Nicole's book and great holiday pick. And I'm linking to Now Serving on in our show notes. And listeners,
Oh,
for
wonderful.
real, Kitchen Arts and Letters and Now Serving, two of my favorite shops in the country. And honestly, just if you're buying a gift or you've heard an author on our show and you're thinking about buying it for the holiday season, maybe for yourself, buy it at these stores. Buy it. Go to Ken's website. It's super easy to buy a book from Ken.
We can't compete with the people who are building rockets to go to Mars, but we throw in a little bit of humanity in there.
I think you throw in humanity. Price is not that different, and honestly, you got to support local retailers at this time of year, and it's just an amazing shop. I want to hear about some of your favorites that were released this year and that you're selling for the holiday season.
Yeah, of course. Well, right now we're obsessed with Sean Sherman's Turtle Island, which it's kind of breathtaking how beautiful it is, as
Yeah.
well as like the guts of it. There's there's a breakdown of indigenous ingredients, and then just seeing how he talks about like ingredients like making a California bear stew, and it's just really. I mean, we're not surprised with it being the follow up to Sous Chef, but it's really really impressive.
Yeah.
Um, I think that Jeremy Foxx's On Meat is
Yeah.
another kind of like a sophomore album, and it's really really strong. And I think it's Jeremy really speaks through his cooking and is really like, to paraphrase a certain Midwestern uh, diva, he's really like your favorite chef's favorite chef. And On Meat is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And a local hero as well. Got to shout that out.
Local hero. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any signed copies in the store? Are you keeping some stock?
Yeah. We just got a bunch of cases in and texted Jeremy to come through to sign some. I also want to shout out, um, and it's really great. I don't know about you, Matt, but it's really great to see when there's a revised edition that the original is such a beloved totem, but like David Leibovitz is Ready for Dessert. The revised edition is awesome. I mean, new photography, updated recipes. Flipping through it, everyone is just like, man, I really want to make this, or I want to eat this right now. So, and it really speaks to what David does best, and he really is such a genius that way.
Agree fully, and I think there's many readers of his Substack who maybe haven't picked up this book, maybe picked up more of his recent books, but fully agree. The brand new photo program is brings it to life in a new way. He's revised some recipes, he's added some recipes, and I think there's no better writer who thinks about baking technically, but can then break it down for the everyday baker than David Leibowitz.
Yeah, 100%. And
Absolutely.
the rice pudding in there looks insane.
Oh, great call. That's something that he does as well, is like he will take on traditional categories, but his books are written, they're like it's his personality, and it's like his favorites. He and some of them are deep cuts. And I like
Hmm.
that about a baking book where he will prove to you why, possibly like Madeleine's, maybe a little bit of a deep cut for people who are like obsessed with, cookies and cakes, but like make your own Madeleine, perhaps.
Yeah, man, you can't go wrong with that. And it's actually this kind of leads me to thinking I might be getting ahead of it, but I think David's book is also a nod to what I see as like a big trend this year, especially this fall, is French food is back, baby. French books, French recipes.
Yeah.
So many French books are doing really well right now. So
I love to hear that. Any last any favorites? Anything that you're looking around your store right now? You're like, oh yeah, that book.
love, love, love Helen Go, and her book, Baking and the Meaning of Life, is like a treatise on like the meditative nature of baking and just the process of it. And she's been such a champion of Ottolenghi, and really kind of like one of his secret weapons. And to see her like take the main stage with such a beautiful book is we love it.
I love that. Now, a great part about visiting Now Serving is you've got all the table with the latest releases. You've got the, your shelves with all the amazing, historical books. But then you have like a lot of indie, you have some magazines there, and you have a great eye for independent publishing and smaller presses. Are there a few that are, available online or in your store that you want to point us towards?
Synonym Magazine is a favorite. That is also a local, uh, really a dear friend of the shop, Caroline Huang, and her team there have really put together this beautiful spiral bound quarterly magazine that changes theme every issue. We really love what the guys at Guia Domingo out of Mexico City, they put out 3 volumes on tacos. Uh,
Rad.
Mexico City, Tijuana, and Guadalajara. And I just heard they signed with a publisher named ACC, and it's kind of cool to hear like the band go from like an indie label to get signed to a bigger deal, just
Yeah.
because distribution people can actually get to it a little bit easier. So
Yeah.
um but that all that indie stuff and all the small press stuff is very, very cool. And the way we learn about that stuff is primarily either through our peers at like Matt at Kitchen Arts and Letters, or it's from our own guests, sending us a link or DM and saying, hey, I think you guys would really like this, you should check this out.
It's an incredible point. The connective nature of all these tremendous culinary bookstores. You guys all talk, and we're the ones who benefit when you can get like a deep cut from Matt or from somebody else. And I have to say, like, when you're thinking about buying a book for a gift, we obviously work at a major publisher here, and our books are sold. But like, the cool thing about buying an independent publication from an independent retailer is that you're helping both sides, and like
Yeah.
you're supporting both sides. So like, you can buy direct from the publisher, but like, maybe think about picking up your favorite zine or an indie publication from Now Serving, available on your website.
Yeah, and also especially for us, we're in the plaza here, and it's such a no-brainer to like come down, grab a book, go get a coffee at Endorphin, hit up Lacita or even Howlin' Rays or Amboy, and it's such a great environment.
Great point. Great point about visiting the plaza. I mean, it is such a great place to like spend an afternoon. And I know some listeners are planning their, the winter trip to LA because, why wouldn't you? And stop by the plaza. Endorphin's amazing. A great spot to grab coffee, and it's right next door to you. You gotta, and parking's easy too. Like, don't let people
Yeah, it
fool
really
you.
is.
Parking is actually really good down there, so don't let them fool you. Let me ask you just generally, why do cookbooks make like the perfect holiday gift?
Well, it's funny. I was just talking about this with a guest, actually about Eric Wareheim's Steakhouse book.
Yeah.
Because with cookbooks, they can really hit on different levels. Like, as an object in itself is conveying the perspective of the author or the chef or the restaurant behind it with photographs, illustrations, and then you can really have you know like studied research journalism in the head notes, especially if it's focusing on particular regional cuisine or like an underrepresented demographic. Um, and we get all these guests who come in all the time who talk about, I don't really cook, but I just love cookbooks. I read them at night like a novel. So
Yeah.
um, I think it's really special, and especially if you're picking out a book for a friend or someone you love. I think that it's kind of like it's a little bit of taste making too, where you're like, I know you, I'm gonna pick out this book for you that I think you'll really love.
I love that point. I think when we're thinking about gifts, like if you, it's not just about the money, it's about the thought, right? And about you thinking and taking that care for, it could be somebody you work with, it could be a loved one, it could be you're just a friend. And like buying a cookbook or a couple of books, like a bundle, and that are curated, I think that's an amazing gift. You can also buy, maybe if you have more budget, like buy a couple cookbooks and maybe like a gift certificate to a restaurant or a market that's tied to the theme of that book. I think that would be a really classy gift to buy, like, Wareheim's Steakhouse book, which is such a deep dive into these regional steakhouses around the world, and like, buy a gift certificate to like a local steakhouse. I think that'd be a really fun gift.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's really diabolical, as the kids say.
Yeah, it's totally diabolical. I always ask booksellers, because you guys are really, really on the pulse. What are you looking for the next couple of years? Just hopes, wishes, books that you would love to see published.
Like I said, I think while it's great, I really love seeing this reemergence of interest in like classic French cooking. But we really need, especially we really need here in LA, more Salvadorian books, Guatemalan, Ecuadorian, hitting that like Central and South America representation, but also more of, we had Eric Ajapong's great Ghana to the World, but let's keep digging deep into Africa. It's there's so much going on over there.
100%, and I think those books have performed well, and like there's been successes there. So I'm, signing up more of those books would be incredible to see. I can't leave you. What's your, people who visit the shop just know that Now Serving is as much of a record store as it is a bookstore, even though you don't sell records, because you play great music, and Ken, you're just on the pulse about music, and you're a huge music fan. What's your take on Geese? What's your take on Geese?
I am Team Geese, man. I am in awe of these kids, and it's like their third record, and they really sound like they're fully realized. And Cameron Winter has like this singular voice that I'm just hypnotized. And that's definitely been in rotation at the shop.
I have to agree. It's a singular band, and I love the success for them. I have to say, I've been listening to a lot of the Besnard Lakes. I don't know if you've ever listened to those guys. Montreal band. They started in the early 2000s and put out like maybe 7 albums. I've been just loving. It's like definitely Pet Sounds with this gentleman who sings with the most incredible falsetto, and you also get moments of shoegaze and noise. And I know I've thrown a lot of like music criticism word salad at the audience who's stuck with us for this whole episode. But
I'm all about it. Yeah.
They're so good. Besnard Lakes are so good.
I'm gonna put it on right now.
Put it on.
Like beta band, high fidelity style.
Oh, yeah. I returned to that versus the beta band EPs, all
3
the
LPs,
3 LP the EPs. I return to that actually often. But we could talk about we could do a music podcast, you and I. I know we could.
Yeah, we could. We totally could, man.
Well, Ken, it's been really a pleasure speaking with you. And again, Now Serving is in Los Angeles. I'm linking to the retail shop in the show notes. You can easily buy these books online. You very much should.
Matt, thank you, man. Always so fun to talk to you about anything, really.
Thanks, buddy. This is Taste is hosted and produced by Eliza Barbanal and me, Matt Rodbar. The show is edited by lead producer Clayton Gumbert and supervised by Pat Stango, Director of Media Production and Development at Penguin Random House. Thanks to Shalia Harris and the production team at Penguin Random House. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Logo and guest illustrations by Ellie Skurzat. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep updated on all cool things in the world of taste.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.